And April's online.
Okay. But is she set up where she can talk?
April, you there?
Check again in a minute.
Can you
Okay.
hear me?
We can hear you now.
Okay, good. I was muted. Now I'm not.
There she is.
Do you raise the volume?
No, she did. I think that's what.
Michael was out of the room now. Say something, April.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, really well.
Okay,
Not too high. Okay, so I will call the meeting to order. It is June 11th, 2025. It is 6:07 p.m. and this is a work meeting for Virgin Town Council. And we only have two things on the agenda tonight, and that is to look at the budget for the last time. And then also, the planning commission wanted us to review the general plan survey data. We're also going to be reviewing this at the town council meeting next Tuesday, so we don't have to spend a lot of time on it. But it's there, we can kind of skim through it tonight.
And it's a public hearing next week also.
Public hearing on the budget.
Yeah, no, on budget and not on, no, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Okay.
just the budget, just the budget. Okay. All right, so the last time we had a meeting on June 3rd, we had a budget meeting, so that was a week ago today. Whatever. No, it's Thursday afternoon, we had a budget meeting. So this budget that is, everyone has a copy of, is dated June 11th. Is, the one online is June 3rd, the one I've given you was printed this morning. And they, updated the stuff that the little bit that we talked about, at the budget meeting. Has been put in this June 11th, budget that you all have a copy of. And I want to point out a couple of things. One, April, I'm sorry. This June 11th budget that everybody has, I made copies of and put up on everyone's table. You do not have a copy of it. But it's-
okay, I was just looking at that and it showed that my budget is not dated June 11th, so.
It's
June
dated June 3rd, yeah, it's dated June 3rd.
Okay.
But all this, we only made a few changes at the meeting on the 3rd, and they're in here now, there was only like 3 things, because they sent me an email listing what they were gonna change, it was only like 3 things. The one thing that has not happened that we had indicated that needed to be done was to put some figures in for maintenance on streets and roads and we already had stuff for the park. It was mainly maintenance on streets and roads. And then capital projects roads. And we had lines there that needed something. So I gave everybody this, which is the capital improvement, 5-year capital improvement plan. And you can see we've got some figures here that we got from Rod Mills. The stuff that is highlighted in yellow is new. The stuff that is down here in this section, forget the stuff that's year 0, that is stuff that's still ongoing for this current year that's supposed to be done by June 30th.
Can I interrupt you with a question?
Yeah.
None of the capital improvements that are submitted this year are on this sheet.
I've got all the capital improvements listed that came in this year, so you right here attached. And I have,
But not on this sheet.
for example, here is a request to pay 175 north and 75 west. It's actually on here in The second line says Cemetery Road and 175 North.
Where's the one on the operator lighting match?
I did not put that on here.
Okay,
That's not on. I was about to go through these and tell you. So I have the dirt road is on here. I have Chuck Master wanted us to repay 150 West, that I'm getting there. It was on here, the stuff that you want to do about the speed bumps on Pocketville Road, I've not put on there. The grass in the cemetery that you asked about, I don't know,
We've got to ask Carolyn about the Pioneer Cemeteries, West Pioneer Cemetery.
yeah, and that's gotta be a council decision before we can consider that.
Right, and then you have here part of the dark sky lighting at the BMX track, I have that's part of the BMX grant project. You have power to the BMX, and I have that's part of the grant project that we got. We have a request for a town vehicle, and I said that's in the budget. We have, this is the dark sky lighting on town property that you asked for, we don't have any, pricing on what it would take to fix that.
Is that on the list?
No, it's not on the list because we don't have a price to put in, but if you want me to add it, I will add it.
Well,
I will put it on, we're not gonna have a price for it to put in.
well, I know, but if we're gonna be making a decision on
Okay,
what years they should go, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, at least we need to have them.
that's up to the capital improvements committee that takes the what year?
They give us, no, well, yes, they give a recommendation, but then the town council, after the public hearing, can decide whether they agree or disagree with the recommendation.
Okay, then the next thing I had was, Diane and Kent asking us to take over that BLM right of way, and I have here, I'm not even gonna consider such a thing until we have the stormwater study. And then, Randy asked for us to put in public restrooms at Pocketville Road, the public station, the public works building, and I said, I'm not gonna build a permanent restroom there until we know if we're gonna get the fire station. What's the point of building a permanent restroom over there, and then we get the fire station, and we want a restroom inside the fire station? And we're gonna spend all that money on a restroom. Yes,
So are we looking at the capital improvements or the budget right now?
we're talking about capital improvements.
Okay, I would like to just make a general comment about capital improvements when it comes to roads.
Just hold on, I've got one left,
Okay, okay,
And this was Randy talking about a piece of sidewalk that he dug in designated Lower Sierra Villa. I know about that piece of sidewalk. I thought Public Works had fixed it already. And he says some lady, last year, a lady in Salt Lake City was riding a scooter. Oh, no, it was what happened. Salt Lake says she died. I'm like, we didn't have a lady here who died riding a scooter in Sierra Villa, but I see he's comparing it. He's analogizing to something that happened in Salt Lake last year.
Yeah,
But
I think
I
that's been
believe,
fixed.
I think it's been
Yes,
fixed.
it's been fixed.
So the only thing I did not put on here out of all the stuff that we got was the lighting and the BLM right of way, because we're waiting for the study, and everything else is in here.
Where was the one? It just,
Where's the one, what?
the speed.
The speed bumps, I told you I did not put that in there yet, because,
You don't have a price, right?
well, I don't have a price for those that we, because we're talking about those big humps. They're bigger and wider than what's there right now, right? That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, permanent
Yeah.
ones, and then you just replace those out.
Yeah.
Yeah, last year, well, but the committee, I don't know what the committee did, because I wasn't on that meeting to watch.
Mhm.
But I
For
think-
this year, you mean?
Yeah, this
Uh-huh.
year. So I know last year what you ended up doing is you put them in the 1 to 5, and then you have ones that didn't make the list, but you still have them on the non-regular list.
It all depends, for example, uh, I'll get to it in a minute. April, what do you want to say?
so in general, when we're talking about roads that are in terrible shape and full of potholes and whatnot, and they're falling apart, and then we talk about chip sealing those roads, a chip seal is not really a proper solution to deteriorating roads because it doesn't really, it's just not worth the money. So I thought when we got a pavement management plan, that the pavement management plan would determine a series of roads that we would want to look at over time. And a lot of times in a pavement management plan, you take the roads that are in reasonable shape and you do things like chip seals and to maintain those roads so that they don't end up deteriorating to the point that you can't really fix them with chip seals and whatnot. So a lot of these roads, I think, are in probably too poor of shape to have a chip seal. So that's kind of a general comment. And then the other thing is when you're crack sealing, like we did in Desert Gardens, and I realized that I was the one that asked for crack sealing in Desert Gardens, but I didn't realize that some of the sections of those roads were in such bad shape that a crack seal really didn't, it was kind of a waste of money. So I think we need to relook at our pavement management plan that Rod was supposed to prepare, which I haven't seen, and really take another look at what types of processes that we want to do on those roads that won't be a waste of money and that will make our roads maintenance go further.
I'd like to see that list prioritized in roads that have the newer parts of town versus the older parts of town versus the ones that have already been done and haven't been done, that being their plan. Cause I know we have some roads that are in here that are a lot newer than some of the different parts of town that are being chip sealed or repaired or crack sealed, and we haven't even looked at some of the roads that are in the older parts of town.
So a lot of the roads in the older parts of town that are so deteriorated probably need more of an extensive replacement and repaving.
Right, that's why when you were talking about the pavement plan, I'd like to see that pavement plan put in a priority so that it gets the oldest roads that are the most deteriorated fixed before the ones that are not. Because we can chip seal until we can get those fixed.
Yeah, so I would like to actually sit down and talk to Rod about how his thinking is on these, because I did go to a lot of pavement management schooling, and I'm not really seeing that reflected possibly in what these
Okay,
chip
so
seal.
I got an email from Rod this afternoon attaching the pavement management plan. I just uploaded it to our today's meeting folder just now.
Oh, okay.
Just now, so if you have it up on your screen, you're gonna have to refresh your screen. So I just uploaded it while you and Misty were talking.
Ooh, okay, I'll take a look. But I mean, that's something that has to be studied. I can't just,
He wants us to put $225 a year for the next 8 years, in the budget every year for the next 8 years to be able to finish the pavement management plan that they, proposed. If you add the pavement management plan, $225,000 to what we already have as something to be done for this year, what we have, what I sat down and went over with Rod and Public Works was all these projects that he wants to do for roads, water parks, stormwater. And, we are at $1 million for this year. And we still don't have the pavement management plan of $225,000 that Rod wants to add. So we can't do $1 million worth of projects this year, which is everything Rod wants to do. So we
well,
have.
we have to prioritize them. And I
Right.
don't think, I'm just saying, I don't think the best use of that money is to chip seal old roads where it's not going to benefit the roads that much. It's not a solution to the problems of those deteriorating roads.
Okay, so, so you're saying, if I understand right, if you look at line number 1 in that yellow highlighted stuff on the capital improvements 5-year plan,
I'll
it's
have to
in
go,
yellow, very first line.
hold on, I have to go back. Okay. Yes, okay. Road in terrible shape and full of potholes. And then he says entire road needs to be chip sealed and kept. I am not, I do not think that chip sealing is the solution for these roads that are in terrible shape. It's not a solution to that. And roads that are falling apart, chip sealing is not going to fix those roads. It's just not. I need to talk to him about this.
Because then the next thing I have here is traffic calming devices needed from Highway 9 to 100 South, speed limit signs along the road. And so the plan was, as we discussed in the capital improvements meeting, was that we would take those bumps from Pocketville Road and put them on 100 West as a traffic calming device when we replace the ones that are on Pocketville Road. That's what we talked about in the capital improvements meeting.
Why are we replacing the ones on Pocketville Road?
That's his plan, that's his request.
Well, because they only have a certain life, well, two reasons. They're a smaller speed bump. And you need in order for them to be fully effective, you need a bigger permanent speed bump there. And with the traffic and the heat that go over them, they're not gonna last much longer. So we've already figured out that on Pocketville Road, those speed bumps have worked, so we might as well make them permanent. And then use the other ones as long as we can get some life out of them someplace else. It may be only another 2 or 3 years based on the heat and the traffic.
I would fight you on the third line.
100 West?
Yes, now.
Well, okay, because other people have asked,
My car has to hump over the top.
because other people have asked, other people along
here.
okay, because the people along the bike park have asked for something to slow down the traffic, because everybody's speeding down the road right there by the park where the kids are playing.
Any traffic signs telling what the speed is other than our light up one?
And is there other parts of town that need it? I assume like it too, so
What?
the temporary speed bumps. So if we don't put them in there, the city could put them someplace else.
They're not healthy for your cars, and I'm not gonna keep driving my car through the top of those, and put them on the street. Then I would have to drive down this street instead of that street.
Yeah,
Okay, we're just gonna move the speeders from one street.
I spent,
Pocket was a unique situation where it's one road.
this
You
last,
put them here, you're gonna move one speeders to another road.
Okay, so,
I spent time in Chicago recently, they're all over the residential areas.
so what are we going to do?
I have a question, I'm sorry. Jack's Circle, that's in Observation Estates.
Yeah, where's
I
that?
was told,
Is that on here somewhere?
yes, it is,
Where?
line 53.
Oh, way down there.
So my question is, I had asked Matt Spenlow when this subdivision went in, because the parcels are under an acre. And rural residential zoning says it has to be an acre. And Matt told me that they were adding the road in.
Yes,
To the
I remember
lot, so then why are we paying for that? That should be Observation Estates should pay for that.
line 50.
They own the road.
I
It's
don't
not
have
a
that
town
on
road, you should have it.
Yeah, it's not a.
Line
I don't-
53.
I don't have that on line 53. Line
Says-
53 talks about a recreational.
No, in the.
I'm in the paper.
Oh, it's pavement management.
Oh, I
It's not Jackson Road. If it's a private road, you should.
I live on 625 West, and I don't think the road doesn't even need to be grass.
Okay,
I'm putting private road with a question mark. next.
fine. So here's the deal. We're not adopting the pavement management plan.
Okay. Okay,
This is something this is Rod gave it to me this afternoon.
okay,
First time any of us is very nice.
got
I
it,
just shared it with you for the first time.
okay.
I'm not putting it in the capital improvements plan
Okay.
as it is. April's already said she disagrees with what he said, because he also says he wants to chip seal Cemetery Road in 175 North and the entire loop of Loop 1 in Desert Gardens, which, April's already said she disagrees with all of that.
Right,
And
okay.
that's what's in his pavement
Okay.
management plan too.
Okay,
So we have to talk about pavement.
in line by line, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
So what I want to ask you guys is, some of this stuff is in the, a few little things such as the stuff in the park is in the budget. The post plan and the shape structure of the playground equipment, those are both in plan, in our budget, because they're gonna be using park impact fees for those. The roads, I'm thinking we would not put them in at this time because April disagrees with, what is to be done on those roads, and she wants to talk to Rod. So, we have no pricing for the stormwater stuff that, Rod wants to do. But we do have, the only thing we do have pricing on is some of the water projects over by, between George and Darlene's house. And then the stormwater master plan, that's in progress already. What is there, basically, what is there on this list that we should put in our budget for this year? Because we just now know that April wants to talk to Ron about the roads.
Let me answer that in two different ways. One, clearly, if we're using impact fees, then the budgetary effect is not the same as if we're using general fund.
Correct.
So anything that we can pay with impact fees, if it makes sense, then we should, assuming that that's what we approve on the next one. I want to do the impact fee order, but yeah, anything with impact fees. General funds, my question is, before I can answer that, is how much revenue do we have? Because I looked at this and I was trying to figure out how much revenue and how much expenses that we have. So how much money do we have? So we know how much that we can get.
Out of impact fees or general fund?
General fund. That would be the question. So maybe we need to go through the budget and then figure out where we're at.
Well, we can tell you that, that's on page 4 of the budget.
Did we get the salaries in there too?
Not the town manager salary.
So we have to add that in the what, so page 4. General fund revenue. Revenue is that one. Well, see, what we have is 1.1 in general fund revenue, but we have 2.1 in expenditures.
Correct. That is what this budget shows.
Okay, we don't have any money then for.
Correct. And I can tell you one thing on here is, and I was talking to Valerie already about this today, is if you look on page 3 where we have capital outlay remodel new town halls, the second line on page 3, $500,000. That's not revenue. The revenue, we got the revenue this year, this fiscal year. So we already got the revenue, it's sitting in an escrow account at the bank.
So,
Yet it's on here as expenditure, but we got no revenue to offset it because we already got the revenue.
yeah, so then we reduced that 2.1, so we're now looking at 1.6. So we just have a $500,000.
So now it's 500, but then there's a couple of others where we have some grants.
Yeah,
There's the money where we already got the money, so it's not shown in the revenue, because we already got the money.
that's
Yet it's
60,000.
going as an expense.
Yeah, and that's 60,000, right?
There's 50, and so I came up with 550,000 at least. That is showing as expenses where we don't have the revenue, but we really do have the revenue that's sitting in that account.
Okay, well, that helps.
And it, yeah,
So we're
so
still,
we're really not that off. We're not that far off compared to last year, because last year we put $400,000, we were off by 400.
my response is we don't have any money to put
No, we
towards capital improvements then.
Not unless we use impact fees, whatever we can use impact fees.
That's on impact fees, but anything else that requires general funds, we can't.
Not yet. We have to see what kind of income we're gonna get from the gas station and the 3 businesses that just opened. because they are not reflected in our projected revenue.
So at this point, so if we're going forward, I would not put any capital improvements up for a general fund at this time. It would have to be delayed unless there are emergencies.
Okay,
That'd be my.
that is what was my
I
opinion.
figured that's what you were doing.
Go to, except that we can do the parks, because we got impact fees
Right,
for the park stuff. And if there's anything on the roads or the water that we can use impact fees for, then we can go ahead and do that, because we've got money, we've got revenue for the impact fees. And I've got that up on the screen.
and well, we need to talk to Rod further on that, because I know he was talking about replacing the old lines down in downtown.
Mhm.
And that's a combination of general fund, because it's replacing old lines, but there was gonna be some upgrades that would be paid with impact fees.
Correct.
And we need to know that split, and obviously we don't have to, well, I don't know, because that's coming out of the sewer fund, or the water fund.
Water fund,
So we'll have to look at the water fund separate.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just thought
So
I'd show you. Yes,
So I was going, you are being very conservative with the income. on this
yes.
right now.
Extremely
Okay,
conservative.
Okay, that's what I thought, because I was questioning that, like, why is that so kind of low?
Well, because when we had our budget meeting with Candace said, only increase your revenue by 10%.
Oh, okay,
So we did, and so you can see from 678 to 737, 800
Yes.
was an increase of 10%.
okay, makes
And that
sense.
was her recommendation, but you can see already this year, we're right at $1 million. By the time we get this month's, income added in, we're probably going to be at $1 million of revenue in that first section, where we're budgeting 737.
So the way this works is if we have capital improvements, we'll go ahead with our 5-year plan. And then if we have impact fees that we can use towards those specific things, then we can adjust all of our budgeting and bring those projects into it at a
Correct.
later date. Okay,
Correct. We just during the year, we say, hey, look, we've got a little extra money we can spend on to redo road, blah, blah, blah. And we amend the budget to do that road,
okay,
because we've got the revenue.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I want you guys to look at what's on the screen behind me. This is a calculation that that we did of what revenues we've gotten from impact fees just in 21 to 24.
can I see that somehow or no?
What?
Yeah, it's in the SharePoint.
It's in SharePoint.
The
It's the
SharePoint,
Excel-
okay,
It's the Excel spreadsheet in SharePoint.
There's 2 Excel spreadsheets now, but I put the payment plan in that.
okay.
It's not the pavement plan, it's the other one.
So
But you
what
can
does it
see-
say exactly? Which one?
Restored impact.
Restored
Impact
impact fee, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, okay, got it.
And then you want the very first tab that says summary.
Oh. Says we,
The impact fee study overview.
doesn't
It
want me,
takes a long time to upload, by the way.
oh, not-
That's why I have it on the
Yeah.
screen for us here in the room, because otherwise you're gonna be sitting there looking at your screen for a while. But it's there, it's right there, all you gotta do is look right there.
I've been looking,
Okay.
I've been looking.
Okay,
no, it's
This is
just
how
being
much-
dumb. It's just being
That's
dumb. I don't know. Okay,
that's
whatever.
how much money we got in impact fees over the past 4 years.
Oh, boy, okay. It's okay.
So,
Keep going. I'll keep looking for it. It just doesn't want to come up for me.
Oh, no, you can't, okay. So basically, how I didn't read my pointer.
Do this every time.
I know I do. Let's see.
You want me to zoom in?
Parks and Rec was. I looked at this earlier with her and said, okay, I get it. Oh, I see what I did. So these are the total of parks, water, and roads for 2024. The total of parks, roads, and water for 2023, 2022, and then 2021. If you want to see how much is in each individual one, then you can see that culinary water, oh, that's 20, you can't go over more? There we go. Total to date. So in culinary water, 391,920. Normally we get 1 million. Becky and I both looked at this one day at the office and said, yes, 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 and come up with this number. Yet I looked at the numbers in the total fee today, and
That 1 million is all 4 years added together.
yes, it is
Those
It's
21 through
that
24.
added together,
Yes.
yes. It's those 4 dates added together.
And that's all the impact fees.
It's all the impact fees, it's the water, the roads, and the parks and rec all together. We had $1,100. Now, the bulk of that actually turned out to be, I believe, in roads. Water, I was real surprised at how little was water.
Well, at least the total to date, water seems higher than roads. 562,000 versus 391.
Oh, crap. Oh,
So anyway, I just wanted you to see, we have money in impact fees. Oh my gosh, I gotta turn this on. I'm trying to turn it red,
So really, are we in danger of losing any impact fees? We got the 6-year mark.
We certainly are, and we've got to spend it. We need, that's why I'm happy to spend the money on the park impact fees. And I would like to spend, this is why Rod was trying to do, road projects and use the impact fees this year. Except that we have to talk with him and see about maybe changing what is actually done on these roads. Because, April disagrees with doing chip seal. And, then we've got some water projects, and he's got quite a bit of water projects here, but he wants to do up by, well, those aren't impact fees, those would be general fund.
Well, if we could apply some for the upgrade. In our last conversation, if we're upgrading the size of the line, then we can use that increase for that.
And they were going to make, some bigger lines over there, but he's got $170,000 of some stuff, that this is all not in impact fees.
And I know from the discussion I attended today online, that you can go past the 6 years, but there's a certain method you gotta go through that to do it, so. Better to spend it if we can spend it, we got the project, it doesn't matter.
And the state, I'll show you this last thing here, the state changed the form that we use now to submit our impact fee report to the state. And it's this spreadsheet, it is 3 pages long. And we have to absolutely say it's going to be on this project, this project, this project. They have it all, we have to be very, very specific. They started that this year. I mean, last year. Last year was the first time that had to be submitted.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good transparency and
So I downloaded that form so that I could have it for everybody who wants to see.
and it's good for
that
developers to come in and say, what I'm back these things before.
But, I suspect that we're gonna have a lot more revenue than, what we are showing here, because as April said, we're being very, very conservative on our, expected revenue.
Well, then the follow-up question is, how much are we comfortable with increasing that?
Increasing,
To
oh, I know,
increase that to make sure we have a balanced budget. and that it's still conservative. If we were very, very conservative, and we're not gonna have any general funds used for capital improvements, if there's one or two capital improvements that are a combination impact fee general fund, we probably should do those, because we can then expend impact fees.
Okay, so,
But we gotta have money down the general fund side to do it.
okay, I'll just tell you this. We just got the financial statement from, just a couple of days ago, Sil emailed us the financial statements. And it shows year to date, just in the, if you're looking at page 1 here on the budget, first page. The thing that says 24-25 current year budget, or no, I'm sorry, year to date. Oh, they do have the right number. It is the same number. Year to date, the very first column, it shows that we are at 892,969.
Yes.
And this shows that in this
You
last,
got a proposed bus on 737.
yes, I just said
Yeah.
that we are probably going to be at $1 million, because this shows that in this last month, we got almost $100,000 in revenue, just from that first section. That first little section that has to do with taxes and, well, those are all taxes. That we got almost $100,000 just in the month of May. So we should get more.
So was that resort taxes or what?
That is, if you look at the first page,
Transient room tax?
if you look at the first page of the budget, you look at the revenue.
Is
whole
that the
first-
budget worksheet then?
Yes, the budget worksheet. It doesn't matter if it's June 3rd or June 11th. All I want you to do is look at the first sheet,
Uh-huh,
first little section. That
Okay.
first little section, all of that is taxes, 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 taxes.
right, all those taxes you're talking about.
All those taxes, we got $100,000 this past month, and we should
Wow.
get it month of June.
That's
So
great.
we're going to be right at $1 million in revenue for this fiscal year by the time June 30th comes along.
Yeah, this must be, it says through 6/25, but that's probably incorrect, yeah.
That is incorrect, because this
It was through May
figure,
25th.
it was through May, yeah. Because this number that they have here is what's showing on the May report.
And when we did that, and we did the estimate on the revenue, we did 10% based on which budget?
Okay, last year, look at
Last year.
last year's budget, 678,
Okay.
second column,
Yeah, 10% on that.
and we did 10%.
And so the theory is add 10%, but you cannot expect to get the same level of revenue. You shouldn't budget for the expectation of the same revenue.
Correct, because you never know what's
You
gonna
never
happen.
know, so that's,
And then, for example, with the business licenses, we budgeted 45,200. Is all the different licenses and permit fees. We budgeted 45,200 last year, we got 51. We're budgeting 46.2. I think we'll be lucky to get the 46.2. I don't think we're gonna get $25,000 worth of tourism permits. But we'll see who comes in and who comes.
And that's because of just economic slowdown, you're thinking?
Correct. Yeah, there's been a big slowdown in building permits.
Yes.
let me add this just to.
What,
And our rule changes,
and our what changes?
our rule changes that have eliminated some of that too.
What,
Our ordinance changes,
that eliminated
some of
what?
that building, because some of them aren't building anymore, that we're going to.
Like
And that's projected, some of those houses and some of those short-term rentals that we eliminated, they can't build it anymore. When we started,
I don't know who wanted to start and has.
there's some short-term, aren't there some of those short-term rentals that we don't, that can't build anymore?
No.
They can
build,
they just can't.
They just can't build some monster mansion. Yes, they can still build houses. They can build, yeah, there's nothing stopping them.
When we all started building.
No, not a single person's come in with building permit. Nobody's come in and applied. Yeah. So, and then we've got interest.
So it's about trying to figure out what's it.
what to budget, if anything, and I think,
Capital improvements, and then we also need to talk about personnel. too.
which we'll have a closed meeting to talk about. So my proposal is we just adopt this budget.
Without the capital improvement in it.
Correct. And then we see how the year goes, and then we have the money for, a project, we amend the budget for that project.
So,
But I can't tell you, the park things, these two park things, are already included in the budget. If you go to the page for capital improvements parks, we've got $200,000 budgeted for capital improvements in the parks. That's page 6. We've got capital improvement parks, 200,000, and that includes, these two things in the park impact fees. Well, this basically is the park impact fees.
so the parks we have
217.5, but that's also some labor, some of that is contract labor. I really wish we had a way, and I don't know if we can go to Casell and do this. But I would really like it if we could, just like we can separate out these capital improvements for parks and capital improvements on roads. Where we can have those separated out because those are gonna be using like park impact fees. It would be really nice if we could do something like this where, for example, the, money we're gonna be spending on the remodel of the new town hall. It'd be really nice if that could be pulled out and put in a separate worksheet because we already have the revenue and it's already sitting in an account. Yet it's making it look like we're over budget when we're really not because we have the money.
Right.
And it's sitting in the escrow account of the state bank. And, so I really wish things like that could be pulled out and have a separate page in the budget to show, here's this project, here's this project, here's this project. So that they don't come in here and make it look like we are, wasting money when we've got all kinds of money already to cover this.
Since we're on parks. I'm sorry if I missed it. When we're talking about revenue total for the parks, it says 61,947,
Where are you?
page 6.
Page 6. It says what?
61,947. What's the revenue?
53,947, that's up at the top. 53,947 is the DMX grant,
Okay,
the grant. And then we've got 6,000 predicted for impact fees,
okay.
and then 2,000 as interest.
Okay, so in order to do this, we gotta, all parts are gonna be impact fee payments.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
So that
Our general
shows,
fund is,
so that shows 61,947 as revenue. And then expenditure, we have 217,500.
so we're 155,000 short.
But look how much money we have sitting in the account for park impact fees. So we're not over budget. This is the thing that with this budget is, all we can look at is here's our revenue, here's what we're spending, but we never get to see what's sitting in an account already.
So that's my question, the 217,000, that's all for impact fees on parks, and I don't see it on the impact. I see 90,000. What's the other 120,000 for this?
Some of it is going to be the BMX track, some of it will be, we just put 200,000 in. We did not sit down and say, guys, I need this project, this project, this project, this project, this project, we put 200,000 in.
Okay, and then I wish to propose that we put it to exact amount in the capital improvement project, then we can amend it when we need to.
Okay, fine, whatever.
Because we don't have, it looks like we're spending money we don't have. but we
It
don't-
looks like it, but we do have the money. We absolutely have the money. It's sitting in a PTIF account earning interest at the state.
That's,
That's our reserves.
that's why Gene wanted a separate,
Right, I understand that.
take those things out and put them someplace else so they're not.
They don't make it look, makes it look like we're spending money we don't have.
It's not reserves, it's an impact fee. It's specifically park impact fees.
No,
They're
that's
city-
not the account you were talking about?
Yes.
Or you mean that one up there?
So, Paul, we found out that there's all these PTI accounts, right? And so what they've done is they've taken that money and we're paying interest on it, so that impact money is still there. These are things we're allowed to do through the state. So it's there, and that money is accounted for. We just have, it's sitting off in
Right.
another spreadsheet that needs to be attached.
What?
Does that make sense?
No, it does, because
So it's labeled out money, the money's already labeled out, so it's
we
not.
have 236,776 in it.
That's just what we got in the last 4 years.
That's what we got in the last 4 years.
Yes.
That's, we got more money
But
than
each
that.
one have, they have a spreadsheet that earmarks what that means.
We have,
So we have more
money than that.
money that's related to park impact fees than what's listed on this spreadsheet.
Correct.
So
It'd
Jean,
be nice to know
Yes.
what that is.
Did you just go online and look and see what our balances are on PTIF accounts?
No, yeah, that was spreadsheet. I'm just saying, I normally give you the total at the top of the spreadsheet I do, of ETRs. It'd be very easy for me to break it down so you can see every account and what's in it. Because or I can attach another spreadsheet because I already have it.
So these, even the financial statements that they give us, which I'm looking at the one they just emailed, even that does not list all of our PTIF accounts. We go to our PTIF account, log in, you can see all of the accounts, you see the one that's for roads, the one that's for water, the ones that's for parks, the one that we set up for the east water tank to make our payment. We've got money in the general fund PTIF account, we've got money in the cemetery PTIF account, we've got money in, we've got so many PTIF accounts.
So I'm all right with what you're saying now, except to the point that if we can put in our capital improvement programs that are gonna be covered by impact fees. We don't have a problem with that. But why are we putting extra money into that account on the budget when we have no expectation to spend it, that we may spend it if some other project comes up, instead of just amending our.
Okay, so we've got $90,000 right here, and then we add in the other, we're at 150. So I will change 200,000 to 150,000. The shade structure is 50, the park impact, we're thinking the post plan is gonna be 40, but we don't know what the
That
post
could
plan is
increase.
gonna be, that could
And
increase.
we may have to
We've
do
got
that.
50,000, we already have 53,000 that we have to spend on the BMX track. And we could spend more than 53, but we have to spend at least 53, so right now we're at 150, so we put 200 in.
Okay,
So are you,
That's how we came up with 200.
you're leaving it at 200?
so for contingencies on those, that's fine. I just needed to,
An explanation.
yeah, because if I can't understand it here, how is Ken Peterson sitting in the
Well, Ken
audience?
Peterson in the audience isn't gonna understand it because we've got nothing anywhere in this budget that says, this much is for shade structure, this much is for a road.
No, but somebody comes in to testify on the budget or concerned about the budget, they're gonna have this to look at.
Yeah, no,
And they're gonna come in and ask that question.
yes,
And I'm not gonna be able to, now I can explain.
okay,
But
well,
before tonight, I could not explain.
all right.
I mean,
well,
we need
I
to
think-
make it clear that they can always ask, this is all public.
This is supposed to be sitting in the office.
It's not just that.
This is supposed to be
but
sitting in town hall where anybody can walk in any day and say, can I see the budget?
And then
And
ask,
then
and then
Krista
ask
should hand it
questions.
over and hand them over the budget.
They're within their right to ask questions, it's public. So they can ask, and this will be proven by Becky or.
Well, I don't wanna be in the position that I'm the one making the decision on approving the budget. And
If
I
you
have
can't
Ken
support
Peterson call me up and say, why are you doing this? I don't know, go ask staff, that's not what, I can't do that.
Well,
I kind of have to understand it, so I can tell my constituents why we're doing this, and why I approved.
Well, I will tell you this, in the whole time I've been mayor, it has been a struggle to keep track of what
Yes.
is in each one, because we need a better type of
I
worksheet.
agree with you. You're
Yeah. Okay, we need a different worksheet, and I have yet to come up with a worksheet that actually works.
No, but
Where we keep track of this much for this, this much for this, this much for this. Okay, so we've spent almost an hour talking about this, when I hope we spent like 15 minutes. But I wanna tell you this, you see how, Paul? Okay. This total for line 8, roads and streets, go across, we got 391,920.
That's only those years.
For
We
those
got
years.
more than that.
We have $692,849.15
And,
in the PTI.
and that would show up when I look at the financial statement.
That one will, but not all of our PTIF accounts show up on this statement. And it's one of the, I just don't understand why we can have these accounts and they don't show up on our
It
financial
needs to
statement.
happen.
They need to be in there.
They are on, they're just not part of the budget, they're on the financial
That's
statement.
what I'm looking at, I'm looking at the financial statement right now.
Yeah, that's what I said. I can get that figure when I look at the financial statement.
And so can, we just need to tell that to whoever asks a question of that.
Well, yeah, I
Because
would,
we're looking at we're looking
there's
at
two different things.
Two different things.
And so when you guys wanna look at it, the public, they need to look at two different documents.
And just like
And I
on,
will need that reminder when you do this again.
But that's the answer to the solution, that's the solution to what you were looking for, is you just tell them that when they want to ask that question, if they wanna physically see it, not just trust what we're saying, they can ask Crystal for.
And then I can point it right to where it is.
Right.
but it would be really nice if we had something for
They have to
capital.
do it in a ground request, I think, but they can ask. for it.
So for example, if you look at page 5, which is capital projects roads, you can see that last year we budgeted $260,000 for capital outlay on roads, and we're not budgeting anything this year. We budgeted 100,000 last year, but we didn't spend any money, that was going to be for the shade structure and the post plan that add up to $90,000. Only they ended up either one getting done in this fiscal year, now they're gonna continue to the next
And
fiscal
I'm
year.
guessing the post plan could be way over.
I think it's gonna be over 42. Also,
Water project.
water projects, those would be back in the water, in the utility fund. I'm not sure what we put in there for water projects, because all we have on here that can come out of, well, they're general, we don't have any water projects that would use impact fees on here.
Well,
On here, there's nothing that uses impact. It doesn't mean we can't come up with something that would use impact.
well, that goes back to what Robert told us in that one meeting that said if we're increasing the size of the line, we're increasing the size of the line to provide more capacity.
Correct.
And that would be, and I understand that some of those replacement lines, that's what we would do. So it would be a combination of both.
Right now, we just put $83,000 in capital expenditures in the water fund. This is on page 7. Next to the bottom line. Capital expenditures, we put 83,000, just because that's what we put last year.
See, where is it at?
The third from the bottom.
Let me check here. Capital expenses,
Capital expenditures. Page 7.
that's water and capital 83,000.
So we just put that,
That's
just,
what we did.
we did last year. Yeah. But that's where we would increase, that's where we would put.
We'd have to do it for the
We
budget.
put it right there, yes, that's where we go. And you can see that, well, the capital, the revenue, what it's showing as expenditures includes all the money that we would be spending on the east water tanks, which really is not gonna get spent this next year. Total flaws is the word, but,
It's, yeah, not for.
All budget programs do.
are they really, they're all like that? Okay.
We had one that I honestly threw darts at the name of it, and it was, they all have flaws. It's how you do your spreadsheets later and make them.
Okay,
So you're
It
saying
sounds
that
like Becky's already in the progress.
if we were a bigger town, you wouldn't be having to do somebody from the finance department.
doing all this, and
Presentation.
they would come in and present,
And
so
we'd
that's
be
what
asking
we
you
said,
questions.
and we would say, okay,
Yeah.
okay, 5 minutes of our time, maybe 15 minutes of our time.
Well, in this case, then the city manager would do all this.
Yes, yes. Okay, so my proposal is that this one that we have here today, we present, this is the one we voted on Tuesday. That's my proposal.
With the one change, you're making, 200,000 to 150.
No, we decided, okay, two.
Okay.
It's gonna stay at two.
Okay, yeah.
The only thing that has to change is adding in the salary of the town manager, because that is not in the salaries section.
Well, also, how we're gonna implement a salary plan.
I put their figures in,
It's in there now.
it's in there. And the salary plan, by the way, I looked up the
It's
in
in-
the personnel manual.
Yeah.
And it says that the mayor and the town council are to prepare a salary plan, but it doesn't say to be adopted by resolution or anything like that, but we prepare a plan, which is what that
Right,
that thing was on Monday,
right.
where we went over it. And I'm assuming you need to adopt it, even though, but I brought the personnel manual with me so I can read it to you, what it says about salary plan.
We look at it and compare this,
So I'm just-
have you give us a little opinion if we need to adopt it, or if we just.
Well, yeah, I'm sitting here thinking, transparency wise, it's better to adopt it by resolution, but every year when you implement a portion of it, you're adopting it as a budget.
It says the mayor in conjunction with the town council shall be responsible for the development and maintenance of a uniform and equitable pay plan for Virgin
That
Town.
tells me it should be done by those people.
That's what it tells me too. And then, the mayor or designee shall conduct a study, shall assign each position a level, blah, 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 we did all that. And then it talks about how to apply.
And I think it needs to be done because the report is a part of that plan. And I'm pursuant to state statute, we have to we already said that she would be part of the plan when we did our salary ordinance. And so this is part of that plan, all the state statute.
Okay. So I am assuming that in the next couple of months, we will need to adopt that plan. Mike who was here sent me an updated, he sent me an email with that one thing that you had put up on SharePoint that we did not have, that some kind of summary thing. And then, I think he made a change, because he had said there were some numbers that were not quite right. And I think he sent me an email with an attachment, and I have not looked at it to see exactly what the difference is.
His changes are not up on the.
Correct. I want to look at it first, and then if it's fine, then I'll put it up on SharePoint, and then everybody can see it. Okay. All right, so are we done talking budget? I hope
Yes.
so. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. I wasn't convinced that I was in a position that I would approve it. I'm getting there, I can study it more.
Okay, Jim, and Tuesday, let me
But
know.
I'm a lot more comfortable with the explanation that you.
Okay, because otherwise, we have to have something adopted by June 30th.
Yeah,
We have to have, we're required.
yeah, fine.
All right. But yeah, if just bottom line, if we really put in $1 million as revenue, just in that one section of our revenue, where the taxes come in, that would eliminate, taking that 550 and adding in more revenue, and we would be we would be fairly close to balancing.
Absent, slowdown, will be way over that.
Yes, absent a slowdown, but I've been kind of surprised as I drive along and look at how many cars are in the parking lot of the hotel, how many RVs there are, I'm like, okay.
So you slow down the traffic.
I've seen slow down traffic too, 'cause I used to sit in the high road, waiting to get out. Now it's like, oh, what,
It depends on what day you go, what time of day you go down.
So the other thing I have on here is to review the general plan survey data. This, as I said before we got started, this is just going to be really, just skimming it today, because I have it on the agenda for us to look at.
That's the survey, data they actually have in your SharePoint. They
Isn't
have,
that what this is? What's in that?
no, what I put in SharePoint is actually their general plan, the actual
Plan?
survey results. The
Yeah.
general plan that they want to adopt.
Oh, I thought it said survey.
Wasn't the email you sent out?
It's both in there.
It says survey summary with graphs. It doesn't say general plan.
Yeah,
That's this.
yeah,
That's this.
yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay. No, all she asked us to do was review the survey results. And then, but I'll be talking to her this week.
And then what did you send out via email?
And there's the,
I did not, but I did not send
No,
out,
Crystal.
oh, Crystal, what did you
Crystal.
send me an email?
That's correct, and it went out today, I think, to all the residents.
Oh, that was just something on the
it's
website.
just how to get to, so they can pull this,
They
that
can pull
copy.
this out.
On the
This
website.
copy right here,
Yeah, I saw that, I didn't have a chance to look at it.
the survey results, so they can pull that copy off and.
So what Paul and I talked about the other day was, going through the general plan, before it's adopted by planning commission. If I understood, this is what I got out of our conversation, is that we don't want them to adopt the general plan, recommend the general plan, then it come to us make changes, send it back. It would be best for us to first look at it, see what kind of changes we might wanna do.
Changes
And
and
then
comments,
send
yeah.
it to planning commission,
Yeah.
and have it look at, so there's only one, so it's not going back and forth.
Yeah,
Are we gonna upload that?
What?
You want to adopt?
Darlene wants to talk, she,
thank you, Becky.
Yes.
Darlene, go ahead and you can talk.
Hi, I am checking my mail. I'm pretty sure I sent the general plan to you guys. Let me double check though.
But either way,
Yeah,
I'm looking at my email from Darlene. Oh, Cinder,
Yeah, I just have, summary of meetings, I don't have any email,
That's what I have to.
Outlook is giving me grief. It does that sometimes. I'll
Can you
find,
resend it? Cause I can't even, I don't see it in my.
I don't have it.
Darlene, can you send it to me and I can put it in SharePoint real quick?
Just send it to Crystal. You don't have to send it to all of us, just to Crystal. I have your general plan survey results. You sent that on April 29th.
yeah. Sure,
But
I
I
can do that. Take me about 30 seconds to do that.
Okay, but in the meantime, while she's sending that, the plan, what Paul and I discussed is that we need to look at the general plan, see if there's anything we, would suggest, might wanna change, whatever, and get it to planning commission. As I already explained, we don't wanna have it come from them recommend it to us, then we make changes, send it back. Just let us look at it first and see if there's any changes. And if we do, then we send it to planning commission and then they do their public hearing.
Mhm.
Because otherwise we're going, because they can do a public hearing, recommend it, send it to us, we make a change, go back, then have a public hearing, make it, just no. So, Paul and I talked about that just the other day. And so, I don't plan to spend a lot of time on this tonight. I just wanted you guys to see this, and, we'll talk about it more on Tuesday.
Okay.
Okay, so just so I understand right now, all we have is the survey results. We don't have the general plan right now.
The proposed general plan, but Darlene is sending it to Crystal, Crystal will upload it to SharePoint for us.
For us, okay.
Okay, and that's how you'll get it. But I do want to tell you what I do have, real quickly for the agenda for next week. So we've got the 2 public hearings, for both the, amended budget for this fiscal year and the proposed budget for next fiscal year. We will be approving the contract to buy those water shares from Lee Ballard. We've got a contract from the attorney, right? Did we get a contract from Heath already? I thought it came in like a week ago. I thought we got it well. Contract purchase Lee Ballard's water shares, approve the town manager project, approve the lawsuit settlement, review the general plan, and adopt the amended 5-year capital improvement plan. That's what I have on here so far.
Yeah, we need a public hearing.
For the capital improvement,
Plan.
okay, then it can go in July.
And then, resolution.
Oh, yes, Rubicon.
Rubicon brevity.
Okay.
Resolution.
You guys can go ahead and look at your folder, and then.
Well, I don't wanna look at it right now.
Oh, well, it's in there.
It's in there,
It's in
but-
your work.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
Do it.
Oh, I'm sorry, you've got homework.
It's okay, lots of homework, 31 pages. Yes. I put it in the work meeting folder, so.
I see it, it's there.
You have it.
Okay. Is there anything else you guys can think of that needs to go on the agenda next month? So I'm gonna approve the I was gonna put on there for us to discuss the land swap again, but, I've not heard from, Mimi and she is on vacation. So we won't discuss it this month. And then I got a new, email to send off to you guys with a new, well, I'll talk about it in a close.
I have not got the contract from Heath.
For the water purchase shares, okay, well, if you would follow up with him, because I'm putting that on the agenda. Okay, then I'm ready to go into a closed meeting where we can discuss this, town contract. The new one that we got with you.
And probably should discuss, litigation.
Yes.
From.
Yes, both of those two, both of those two things.
So I,
Okay, hold on, just a minute before you do that.
Thank you
Let's get you the
for
link.
showing up. The letter we used as an example.
okay, or someone else can do it.
Okay. Because he sent an email with the language he wanted us to use. Oh, it's a text message. It's not.
Oh,
I have to look up the two justifications in state code, I believe. What is, I always have to look this up every time, Open Public Meetings Act. Crystal, you should have this
I have it.
absolutely in your mind
I have it. I
all the
already have it in
time.
5 minutes.
You have what in your mind?
Everything's typed up. What do you want? You want the code?
We need the justification for the two topics we are going to discuss in the,
52-4-205 subsection 1. And parentheses A.
I can never remember the next.
And
I
then
always think it's 63G,
no,
which is something.
64 or 52-4-205 subsection 1. A. And then you're doing, and then C.
A and C.
Yep.
No. Nope, it's A and. Yes, A and C, sorry, when I was looking at D and thinking it was C, and I was like, that doesn't apply, it's A and
A
C,
and C.
yes, you got it,
I don't, so somebody's gonna make a motion on.
I'll do it. I make a motion that we close the open meeting and open a closed meeting. To discuss the character, professional competence, or physical or mental health of an individual, and also strategy session to discuss pending or reasonably imminent litigation. The meeting will take place right here in the same room where we're sitting right now at 114 South Mill Street in Virgin, Utah, at our church.
Second.
Paul?
I,
Jean, yes. Misty? Yes. Valerie?
Yes.
April?
Aye.
Okay, all right, so we're gonna disconnect from this and then Crystal will send you a new, Zoom link for the closed meeting, okay?
Okay,
Right, in that,
I'll just call you April.
okay,
you're gonna, I'll be on, my phone is dying, so I gotta plug it in here.
Okay.
all right,
now we gotta record the litigation part, but not the.
I got it.
Not the personnel part.
Yep.